That's right. Yesterday, we just got back from our first ever sailing aboard the Disney Destiny, Michelle, but not just a regular sailing, a 7-night Eastern Caribbean sailing, right, Michelle?
Oh yeah, it was really special because they typically only do in 4 and 5 day sailing. So this was only their second 7 day voyage, and it also included some new ports that the ship has never visited. So we got to be a part of some of the Destiny history.
Right. I mean, the Destiny's only been sailing officially for about 7 months now. So, yeah, there's going to be some new ports it's going to hit. As a matter of fact, we had originally planned to do I believe it was a 5-night we had booked
Right,
on
I
there.
think
Then
so.
they opened the 7 nights up and we quickly changed because we wanted to do a longer cruise aboard this beautiful ship.
Yeah, it made it our wait a little longer, but it was well worth it, and can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, and it didn't disappoint. I'm going to say right
No.
now, there are some things we will say about this class of ship that we are not huge fans of necessarily, but all in all, we loved what we experienced aboard the Disney Destiny.
Yeah, it really, like you said, didn't disappoint. There was so many wonderful things about it.
So let's go ahead and delve into it. Yes, so our sailing began on Saturday, June 27th, 2026, and it was out of Port Everglades, Florida, which is so funny because, we live now about 35, 40 minutes away from Port Canaveral. And we've hardly
I
sailed there
know.
since we've lived. It's almost all of ours have been out of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I think we've only done one sailing out of Port Canaveral since we've been over here in the Space Coast.
The good news is we actually love what they've done with Port Everglades and how convenient it is for most people to get to that port and how they've stylized it to really make you immersed in that Disney feel before you even board.
Oh yeah, it's first of all, it's super convenient. I mean, I guess for me, I found one time going in a little challenging, but once you're into the port and you have a lot of people directing you where to drop things off and how to park, it's super easy and convenient.
And we've been to several ports that are not Port Canaveral, which was Disney's original home port and still is probably still considered their main home port. And not all of them really go out of their way to make it feel Disney, but Port Everglades definitely has. So if you're concerned about that, if you're feeling you won't get the Disney feel when you go there, let us just set that aside for you. You will. As soon as you get into that terminal, you will know you are at a Disney cruise.
Right. The decor is just so immersive.
Yeah. So we did actually get started a little bit later than we had planned, but we arrived there just slightly after our time. That was our
Port
arrival time. Thank you. And the good news was we went through, got in, checked in, went through security. Boom. As soon as they went through security, they were calling a group to board, which was good and bad because, as you may remember from a couple episodes ago, one of the things we told you about for a smooth embarkation day is when you get into that terminal, sit down, get on the Disney Cruise app and start planning things out. We did not have, I mean, I guess we could have sat down and done that, but it's like, no, we're going to get on board the ship, right, Michelle?
Right. Yes. It was, like we said in that episode, the port day is a busy day because you're really trying to catch it all in and get immersed into it. And that's kind of what we did. We went, like you said, we'd gotten through security, and the very next call for boarding included our boarding time. And so we went in and just kind of hustled, and we already had a plan of what we were going to do first. And so it allowed us at least to do that. But yes, going through and trying to find some additional things to focus on. We didn't have time for that, but we already knew a lot of things that we had planned were already reserved, etc. So I think we're in okay shape.
Yeah. No, it was good. We got on board. We did what we normally do once we got on board. Well, I mean, there's the whole announcement when you get on board. By the way, there are going to be some light spoilers to the Disney Destiny here. We're going to try and save a lot of it for you. We're not going to go crazy with what we're giving away, but if you want to know nothing about the Disney Destiny before your cruise, then you may want to wait and listen to this at a later point, because there will be some light spoilers, but we're not going to give away everything that you will experience on board. So just want to make sure you know that right off the bat.
Right. I mean, we can talk about some of the things that they offer that you may not get the details of what that experience was. I mean, we may talk about an experience and how we enjoyed it, and what maybe some of the highlights, but not spoil it. But again, I think a lot of times when people are looking online to do some research about their cruise, they're going to hear some of the things we're going to talk about too.
Yeah.
So I
So-
don't think it's going to be a big spoiler.
We will definitely not try to give away any big reveal or anything that happens with any of the shows specifically, more just kind of talk about them and kind of give you an idea of if you would like to attend them or whether they are skippable for some, at least for the ones that we were on 7 nights. We didn't do everything.
I
Okay.
know, it's
We did
crazy.
not, but we did do a lot. So we'll go through that. So yeah, first thing we like to do when we get on board is check our table assignment, make sure everything is good with how we had expected that. Usually it is. Sometimes there's a couple little hiccups. We took care of that. And then we were hungry. It's about a 3 hour, not quite a 3 hour drive from where we live down to Fort Lauderdale. So we were very hungry. So first thing we do is we wanted to check out Marceline Market, which is the buffet area above this ship up on deck 11. One of the things I think the food's fine. It's buffet food. There are great stations. It's, some things are really tasty. Some things are kind of middle of the road. Some things not so much. They're skippable, but it's your typical buffet. But what was interesting about this buffet that I didn't remember this, I don't know if they had this aboard the Wish, but it definitely is aboard this ship, is that there are little sections that if you pay attention within this area, within
The seating area.
Yes, within the seating area and around where the food stations are, that are themed to various different areas. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see a little sign here, and it looks like, it's just some cute little
Like a map.
influences of Disney things. And as you go walking through this place, you'll find lots of these in different areas depending on where you're seating at. Ties into Pinocchio, like you see here, if those of you watching on YouTube, Beauty and the Beast, things like from Ratatouille, including you can find the actual recipe for Ratatouille from Pixar's Ratatouille, Michelle.
Yeah, it's very intriguing that we've never noticed that before on when we were on the Wish, and I'm sure they have something similar, but to really see all the details, I mean a tremendous amount of details of things that remind you of different elements of their films, and it's really, again, makes that part of the experience even better.
Yep, and other things, and some are more obvious, some are more nuanced. Flowers, of course, from Bambi. The Wicked Witch orchards from Snow White. There's a little piece right in the back for Zootopia. It's kind of the bunny farms there. You can find some interesting things, including carrot on a stick, not actually to eat, but there are displays of that. And there's another area that has some of the works of Attila from the Snuggly Duckling, the ones who's, makes the cupcakes that are divine, of course. So lots of great little touches throughout there that you can check out while you're also getting some fantastic food.
Yeah. I mean, I think the takeaway here is, while you're there at the buffet, food is the priority, obviously, but you can take a moment and really appreciate all the things in your surroundings that help make you feel more immersed into a Disney cruise.
So Michelle just said food is the priority. And yes, that was our priority. We're getting on board. Our next priority, however, was getting a wonderful cocktail that we picked up at the Cove Bar, which is the bar that's right next to the adult pool. One of our issues with this ship, I'll just say this right now, is the adult pool area. I understand it because they really have opened up the family pool area, and they've given you some wonderful kind of staggered almost theater type seating with pools and seating areas that you can watch the movies on deck as well. And totally get that. This ship should be about families. So I get that you want a really, really wonderful experience for them. But we also love our adult areas, and let's just say it, the adult spaces on the Wish class are not perfect for us.
Right. I mean, they're not like they are on the other class of ships. And I think this is our criticism too with Flow as well. I did feel on the Destiny, and I don't know if it's just some reason why I felt this way differently than on the Wish, but I did feel like they had more seating things available, but it's just the seatings are more on the side
Mhm.
of the deck and not necessarily right at the pool or right at the, and you mentioned the Cove Bar. They also have the Cove Cafe, which is more coffee based kind of drinks.
Yeah, we did find seating up there on the beginning of this, which
Mhm.
was nice. We went to the Cove Bar, and yes, we had to get a couple nice cocktails. I did the usual. I'm pretty easy to predict. I got my Captain's Mai Tai. Michelle, what did you have up there?
Well, first of all, the Captain's Mai Tai was the drink of the day, so you kind of did well there on embarkation day. I had so there's a little cocktail spritzer that they have only at that bar on the Destiny, and it's there. They have different flavors. They are called spritzer pops, I believe, and I had the strawberry basil spritzer. And what it is, it's champagne. It's the Moet Ice champagne, which is supposed to be served with ice, and it also has a liqueur, a citrus liqueur. The name of it,
It's the Citron, right?
yeah,
Or
no,
Sirco.
Sirica,
Sirco.
yeah, and then they put a uh, popsicle inverted into it, and the popsicle is strawberry flavored, and it has some basil frozen into it, and it's just very light, very refreshing, and it just fits for me the start of a cruise.
And it was very hot. I mean, we were in the mid 90s in Fort Lauderdale with a lot of humidity. We did find some seats there in the shade, and we just enjoyed those cocktails. And it was a wonderful way to kind of kick off that portion of our cruise. And we will be going through, we visited most every lounge on this ship. So we will be going through all those and letting you know our thoughts on that as well. So, yeah, I mean, this ship is not perfect. Okay. So there's going to be a few negatives that we're going to put through here, even though we are the Disney podcast of positivity. We always like to keep it real, right? That the adult pool, although we did spend more time there than maybe we did definitely on the Wish, there are some issues that we have with that class's adult spaces.
Right. I think for me, the biggest problem in the adult space is how little seating there is that has covered areas. If you want to sit in the shade,
yeah,
it's minimal.
Yeah. Michelle right now is thinking about the sun and she's getting a sunburn. That's why we need the shade most of the time. Plus, I just kind of prefer it myself, even though I'm not I don't burst into flames in the sun like Michelle does. Still just the same. We kind of like that.
Yeah.
But we were able to find a good spot for this and got a drink. And then it was time to kind of visit our stateroom because we were gone on board. Stateroom was open around 1:30-ish. So we went down to our stateroom. Our stateroom was on the 7th floor. It was 7082. Very, very nice stateroom. Hercules inspired. We had it's got a little it's on a bump out there. So it's got a sort of extended balcony. It's kind of got kind of an angular railing. So one side is a little longer than the other, but it was a nice extended balcony.
Right. It's extended in the sense that it's deeper, not wider. But it was perfect in that regards. And on each level, they have, I believe, 3 different themes for the rooms. And like you said, ours happened to be Hercules, which was really fun. And it really is such a pretty room when you go in. I loved it.
We loved our room. Loved our room very much, except for one thing. And this is something that is another thing that is an issue with the Wish class. They do not have enough storage space for, I mean, luckily we were only 2 people. I don't know how a family of 4, especially a family of 4 with maybe larger kids, fits all their stuff in these rooms because there's only a few drawers. There are some nice cubbies in the closet. The closet space is fairly nice, but it just doesn't have as much as you'll find on some of the other classes as far as trying to put your clothing and other things that you might bring on board away.
Right. 100%. It did make it tough to have adequate storage, even like you said, just for the 2 of us. I mean, you can hang a lot of things up because it is, double closet and things, but yeah, I know I mentioned that a couple times, like it'd be hard to imagine. Of course, now our room could only have one other person, but I
Mm.
think it's because of where we were situated on the bump. So our couch would have made a bed,
Mhm.
but we didn't have the
We didn't
ceiling.
have the drop down
Right.
bunk bed
Right.
type. Yeah, and
But still,
also we
3
weren't
people.
we weren't in a family
Right.
guest stateroom too, which sometimes that will have what are they called, the trundle beds,
Yeah, the out of the wall.
yeah,
Murphy.
Murphy beds. Thank you. Boy, my brain. It was a long vacation, but a beautiful vacation. My brain, yes, the Murphy beds. Those will also take up space too, but I don't know on if they all have those, and if so, if there's more space that's more sort of storage space that's credited to that. If anybody knows, please let us know. We'll share it on an upcoming show. But we were able to find space for everything. It just was a little trickier than maybe other times. So
Yeah.
you get what you get.
Right. And something to keep in mind, and I do believe they tell you this in advance too, but you cannot hang like bags from your doors. So like
Right.
if you're trying to store a bunch of things in bags hanging from the doors, you can't do that.
Michelle made a smart purchase a while ago. That there's these magnetic hooks that are actually very strong magnets because the walls are all metal. So you can put these magnetic hooks. It doesn't damage the walls at all, and you can move them to wherever you want. And we hang hats, we hung bags, we hung jackets from those. Not that we needed a lot of jackets, but we did have a couple jackets on
Yeah.
board because it'd be a little chilly.
Yeah,
on board at
sometimes in
times.
the either in the restaurants
Mhm.
or in the shows, some people tend to get colder than others, and so yeah, you can hang a lot from hooks.
Yeah. Message us. We'll let you know where you can pick those up, but you can find them. They're really, really good and really, really handy for these cruises. So checked out the room, loved the room, except for the storage space. It was good, Bill, and that was going to be our home for the next 7 days. Then it was time to go check out what else was in onboard areas, not the outer areas, on the onboard areas.
You
Yes.
missed one thing
What's
that
that?
we lucked out on. Our stateroom host, her name was Belle.
Yes. Very easy to remember.
Yeah.
And she was wonderful. Thank you to Belle for taking good care of us in our room and messing, especially when we had stuff that was everywhere because of the storage space, being able to keep us tidy as well. She was phenomenal for sure.
Yeah, and she was there pretty as soon as she saw us, which was pretty early on. She was right there. She was making sure we got our bags. Very, very conscientious of the whole process. But it was funny and fun to have somebody named Belle.
Yeah. And just the spelling that, at least that's what she had on her badge,
Mhm.
the spelling that you would think of Belle. So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Really, really nice. So yes, I'm glad you brought her up because she was phenomenal. Yes, then it was time to explore the ship, including we needed to get down to the Grand Hall, which we had walked through, of course, on the ship before, but we kind of had, we could see it and it was wonderful, but we didn't get to really study it until we came back to that. And let me tell you right off the bat, that statue of Black Panther, King T'Challa, right there in the Grand Hall. It brought tears to my eyes.
Mhm.
It is beautiful, stunning, wonderful. Wasn't sure, for those, I know many people are like, how does this fit within Disney, especially when you have so many other more classic Disney characters on these ships. And this is a Marvel character, but it is a wonderful tribute. Not only to T'Challa, to the original Black Panther, but to Chadwick
Right.
Boseman as well, which is that's why it brought tears to my eyes.
Yes.
It's great. It's great. It fits and it's wonderful.
It does. And, the other reason that it fits is because they do on this ship, which the theming is heroes and villains, they incorporate in different shows, even in the Grand Hall Room, different heroes and villains that are Marvel related. So I think it helps broaden the interest in this ship too, that you have obviously Disney, Pixar, and Marvel, and some Star Wars included. And I
Right.
think that helps.
And we're going to talk a lot about Marvel through this because Marvel influence within this ship is huge. And for those of you who are Marvel fans, you're going to love this ship. I'm just going to tell you that right now. However, if you're not Marvel fans or you have family members that aren't so much as others, still other classic Disney characters, princesses all around, all sorts of Disney
Mhm.
villains from all the different generations that show up, as well as the heroes. don't think it's just a Marvel ship.
Right.
There just is a more Marvel heavy presence on this ship than others.
Right. And you can participate or not participate in however you like it. But
Right.
as you said, there's so many classic Disney animation characters that are like you said, around and in shows, etc.
Mhm. Other things, if you take in the Grand Hall, I mean, just to see it, it is stunning. The chandelier on top is supposed to represent the vibranium uh, meteor that struck, that basically made Wakanda become Wakanda, be able to use that. So that's there. If you look more closely at it, you can see the panthers there on the carpeting. They have the heart-shaped herb there. By the way, the spot, if you're looking on YouTube, that is supposed to be kind of the crater where the meteor hit that contained the vibranium. The heart-shaped herb, of course, which is what gives the Black Panther his or her power as well. There's a lot to really observe within this, as there is a lot throughout this ship, Michelle.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of this I didn't even observe. So there are things that you can just not be taking in, but there is for people who are huge fans of different elements. You'll see something represented in the
Mhm.
ship in accompanying details.
Speaking of that, as we walked around the ship, the one thing that really captured us, I think, was how amazing the artwork is on
Mhm.
this ship. We've been on many Disney ships. We haven't been on the Treasure yet, so I can't compare it to that. But to compared to all the other Disney ships that all have fantastic artwork, and other places, by the way, that are Disney, this may have the most incredible collection of artwork I think I've seen in any one smaller destination area.
Yes, there's so many very impressive pieces of art, whether you're talking very large or just very unique. And it's different styling, so it's not all one type of art theming. And as we talk about over and over, the theming goes from anywhere from Disney, classic Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel. It's all around.
Mhm. And as you may have seen, if you've seen the recent episode Behind the Attraction, where
Mhm.
they actually delve into the Disney Destiny, it is villains in the front and heroes on the back side of the ship. But if you go through the stairwells, and highly encourage, I know a lot of people like to take the elevators and everything. Highly encourage, even if you are an elevator person or even someone who maybe you have difficulty climbing the stairs, if you can navigate some of the stairs or even just walk towards them, there is such amazing artwork in those stairwells. It's worth your time just to tour those stairwells to see all this art.
Yeah, most of the stairwells in particular have very, very large scale type of art. It's huge. Some will have more of a spattering of different
Mhm.
sizes, but most of them are giant pieces of art capturing scenes from these stories.
Yeah. As someone who takes the stairs regularly, we were continuously impressed
Mhm.
by the artwork on board. And it's not just there, there's plenty in the hallways too. That is phenomenal. All sorts of different styles, different characters that that you love, and sometimes just generally influenced. It's great. It
Mhm.
really is great
Yeah.
collection of art on that ship.
Yeah, it definitely is continuing that theming of heroes and villains throughout.
Right. By the way, after that, we also did, when we were in the Grand Hall, meet up with some people that we've been kind of connected with a little bit on social media. And we're happy to kind of meet them and sail with them aboard this ship. We were not knowing, I think we knew at least a couple of them were on
Mhm.
board, but we kind of found out in the days or pretty much the hours before we cruised that they were going to be on board, and connected with them and couldn't have had a better time. One of them was Adventures in
Mhm.
Mousecapades. They do a podcast. They've done a podcast for about 4 years. Alicia and Nathan. We actually at dinner that night were sat right next to them,
Right, our tables.
and it was just we got to we met up with them several times. I mean, not for extended periods, but still every time it was just warm, wonderful, and a great experience. We're so happy to be able to sail on board with them.
Yeah, and to to meet their family as well, and it was just really fun to have that opportunity to, like you said, we know them, but we've never had the opportunity to meet them, and it's fun. And
And they
yeah,
may be making an appearance on our show in the future. We discussed that.
yeah,
We'll see
we're
if that
expecting that's
occurs,
going to happen. It's
but we
just
hope that's going to
timing when there's
happen
not
because
sure.
we want to spend some more time with them
Mhm.
on this show so you can meet them as well. But then we also have some time. We're going to be aboard the DVC member cruise with them too. So that's going to
Yeah.
be fun. We also met Kraus Mouse Adventures, who mostly have a YouTube channel. They do things on social media as well, but mostly they have a YouTube channel. Alan and Rachel from them, they were great as well. We kept running into them
Right.
in various different spots. Of course, they do a YouTube channel, so they were videoing everything, which is great. So check out their space. Again, Kraus Mouse Adventures. You can find them too. Those should have a lot of great videos from this. And we may be reaching out to them to see if they would like
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
We didn't talk specifically about that on the cruise, but we may be
We
reaching
did,
out to
yeah.
them to see if they'd be willing to come on our show as well.
And it'll be fun to talk with them because it was also their first experience on the Destiny.
Yeah. So that was great. An excellent chance to spend some time with some people that we've connected with again on social media, but not in person. But
Right.
hopefully we'll do more of that in the future. Muster drill next. Of course, the muster drill is the muster drill. We don't need to tell you much more about that. But then is, of course, the classic Disney sail away party, which just aboard the Disney Destiny is just as good as aboard any other ship. Special character that I've never seen appear at a sail away party shows up at that. So just know that going in. I
Yeah,
won't
yeah.
spoil it, but just know.
Right. You know, they all have similarities in the fact that they're bringing out characters, there's dancing and music, but they all have their own little uniqueness about it. And this one was so wonderful.
You know you're on vacation when you've done it.
Yeah, a lot of high energy and, just love how they present you on vacation. That's all I'll say. No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers more, but man, it's great. It is great. So we sailed away. Next thing we got to do, well, we got to see the Broadway style shows about the Disney Destiny, right, Michelle?
Yes. And as we've mentioned in the past, what's really great is that Disney does set up your itinerary so you get an opportunity to see the shows and have a dining experience opposite that. So you're not having to figure it out. It's laid out for you.
Yep. So off to the Walt Disney Theater we went. I'm going to tell you right now, people line up for the shows and for other experiences on this. You're going to have to be prepared to line up early if you want a really great seat. Plenty of seats available at some things. There are some other things that if you don't line up for it, you're probably not getting into, I'm going to tell you. But Walt Disney Theater, great. As always with Walt Disney Theater shows, we did not get to take any pictures or video while they were going on. However, our first night was Seize the Adventure, the same show pretty much that you will see aboard the Disney Treasure and the Disney Wish, Michelle, on opening, on usually either your first day or your second day of sailing.
Right. Yeah. And I like when they do it on the first night because to me, it kind of kicks it off. They're selling Seas, SEAS. But it really does immediately get you to realize, okay, I'm on a Disney ship. I'm watching a Disney show. It introduces a lot of the characters and a fun little story. And it's the best way to me to start your sailing journey.
Right. You get introduced to a lot of the characters and you get a lot of their songs, which is kind of what you want. It's a great way to break in, as you mentioned, on any of those ships. And I enjoyed it. I do love Seize the Adventure. I think it's a great start to your Disney cruise for sure. By the way, you may see Scott popping into the background for those of you watching on video. If you're listening to this on the audio and you want to see Scott, he's making many appearances in our background and sometimes on the episode as well.
Yeah.
So he's very happy to be with us now.
Yeah, I think he wants to definitely be a part of the podcast.
He's ready to do his own podcast.
Yes, I know.
For sure.
That's
for sure. If you're watching the video, there may be many edits just because he's trying to take over the mic, so which we're perfectly happy to do.
Right.
But we'll never get through this episode if we don't. So dinner that night, Seize the Adventure, great. Loved it. It's very good. Dinner that night was at Worlds of Marvel. It's, again, very similar. Disney Wish, Disney Treasure, Worlds of Marvel. Always an enjoyable show, especially if you are a Marvel fan, Michelle.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of the more entertaining venues for dinner that you can go to. There's interactive parts to it as well. I really like the use of technology that they've applied in this, and it really helps pass the time,
Mhm.
I guess, if you want to say that while you're eating it. It is nice having like an additional show
Mhm.
experience.
And we did get the main show on the first night. There were some other things that were kind of shifted around where we got the secondary show first. We'll talk about that possibly on this episode. We'll see if we get there. But yeah, we did get the main show on our first night
Yeah.
because we did visit all the dining rooms twice.
Right. Yes. So on the Disney Destiny, if you're experiencing a 4-day, you get all of the main dining room shows, primary shows once, and then you get a pirate menu in one of the restaurants, but everybody has the same menu. If you're on a 5-day, you get to experience 2 out of the 3 with their secondary show and no pirate menu.
Right.
So
yeah. But 7 nights we got both.
Yeah.
We got the pirate menu and we got the second show in all these.
Right.
Although 1923, no real show, but yeah.
Right. And the food is themed with the restaurants
Right.
as well. So.
Absolutely. So good dinner. I'm not going to
Mhm.
say it's a wow, but a very good dinner
Mhm.
there. But the show is always fun. Then we got a little bit more Marvel because it was time for the Legend of Loki. And there were they have a stage there in the Grand Hall, and lots of different events go on there and shows, storytelling, and so forth. This night we got the Legend of Loki. So we got to hear a little bit about the god of mischief there on the middle of the ship. And he kind of decided, hey, I'm going to kind of take control of this ship.
Right. And they have an accompanying storyteller, which, oh my gosh, is the best addition to the Wish class ships, is having storytellers.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that here
Right.
shortly because yes, definitely.
But they have these shows, like Tom mentioned, in the Grand Hall Room, and you can find them on your navigator, the times that they have them. In particular, this show, we realized, especially as it ended, that it was kind of a part 1 of 2 parts. So we got the beginning at the beginning of our cruise, and then later we saw the kind of the completion of that story. Either of them worked okay independently, but seeing both of them together, I think, was a better story because you got to see the whole thing.
By the way, I don't think I mentioned it. We had late seating, so know that we did the show before the Broadway style shows, the Showtime and the Walt Disney Theaters before, then dinner, and then we would get out and like this. The Legend of Loki took place, so it was like 10:15 or 10:30 or something like that. So after dinner, we went and saw that in the Grand Hall.
But they do have these throughout the day. Different. I'm not saying they have them all the time, the same show, but like the Loki show, I think played like maybe 2 times that day.
I think that was only once because it was at 10. Anybody could have made that one.
Yeah.
It wasn't where it was disruptive to either the Broadway style show or your dinner time to have that there. So they made that available for you. So I believe that was only once, but there were several shows that were dependent on what your dinner seating essentially was. So you could have made one or the other or both possibly. If so saw fit. But that was great fun. And yes, we will get into that storyteller here in just a moment. But that kind of wrapped up our day 1. We had gotten up early, headed down, long drive. We were a little bit winded at that point, so we decided to call it an evening. But then we had an exciting day 2 ahead for us, Michelle, which was that was Sunday. It was June 28th. And for that, well, our first stop was Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. Of course, Disney's relatively new private destination. Still love Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. It's just a nearly perfect beach day. It's so nice there. The water is so nice. The beach is so nice. It was a little bit breezy, which was probably kind of good because it was hot. Did keep us from snorkeling because they do have good snorkeling there, but it was a little choppy, but we still had a great time just sitting there. Got off early, got the perfect spot for us with a nice umbrella, couple nice cocktails. It was good.
Yeah. We were at the adult side of the beach that we went to, where, I guess if you've been on Castaway Cay, you realize that they've divided the island up. So the adult portion is more serene.
Mhm.
I think I don't know if they call it Serenity Bay on this,
They
or
do.
they do.
They do.
So, I mean, there's obviously swimming and activities like that. But if you're doing excursions, whether you're doing, paddle boarding or snorkeling as a group or any of those things, that's usually all done on the family side.
Yeah. So, and this, as opposed to Castaway Key, if you've never been there, this beach is actually, it's the same beach as the family beach. They just kind of
Right.
sort of cordon off. They cone off a little area for the adult section, the adult only area. Then the family side's there. Whereas over at Castaway Key, like Serenity Bay is like way at the end of the
Right.
island. It's a
Right.
completely
Yeah.
different space. So we've run into in the past when we've been there that sometimes the kids don't realize and they cross over, but they're
Yeah.
like, oh no, this isn't your space, over there. This didn't happen this
Right.
time,
Yeah.
but great. Had a nice meal there. Like I said, some cocktails, did some swimming, sat out in the sun with a nice breeze. It was a beautiful, beautiful day in the Bahamas.
Yeah, it really was perfect. And, kind of wondered, being in July or nearly July, if it was going to be too hot to really enjoy it. But as Tom mentioned, the constant breeze made it
Mhm.
much more comfortable and enjoyable.
So we spent some good time out there, but then it was time for that long walk up that pier, which, yes, yeah, that pier still exists. For those of you who haven't been there, it's long. But they've done some great things as far as they put water stations on there. There are cold towels they are handed out at both ends at the end of it. And we saw people walking with umbrellas. They were prepared. But there was a really nice breeze going across it too.
Mhm.
So yes, it was hot and it's a long walk, but it's not that bad. And for those of you who aren't capable of doing those longer walks, they do provide transportation and golf carts and so forth up and down that pier to get you there. So don't feel like it's not too intimidating for you.
Right, exactly. It's definitely doable, and they have options for you.
But we decided, okay, it was time to get back on board the ship. And one of the first places we've experienced when we back on board the ship, you know what? We needed a nice cup of coffee because we love a nice cup of coffee. So we went up to the Cove Cafe, Michelle.
Yes. And so again, they have on the Wish classification, they do have a Cove Cafe, which is the coffee, as I mentioned before, and the Cove Bar, which is predominantly alcohol. And the vibe in the Cove Cafe, is very relaxing. We oftentimes that we went in there, we would see people with their laptops, whether they're working or just whatever they're uh, doing there. It just kind of think of your typical coffee shop that you would just go and have a nice time of sitting and relaxing over a nice brew.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned already, we spent time in virtually all the lounges on this ship, but this is where we spent the most time. And I think it was mostly because we would go there and it would be a nice place to kind of reset for a little bit, kind of, just a little downtime, a little quiet time, really nice cup of coffee. We were in there virtually every day. I think there was only maybe 1 or 2
Right.
days that we were not in there at least once. And it was just a good place to kind of just chill for a little bit and then plot out, okay, where are we going next? Because there was a lot to do on this ship. So let's go ahead and get to that.
Now, one thing I want to point out, if you've been on a Disney cruise ship before and you've been in Cove Cafe, you might have seen a display that has like some pastries, or in the evenings, they might have some like a small charcuterie board or something like that. On the Wish classifications, they don't have those
Mhm.
treats. So if you're going thinking, okay, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee and maybe I'll pick up a croissant or a tart or something like that for free while I'm there, that doesn't exist. I'm just mentioning it in case you plan to do something like that. If you want to have something to snack on with your coffee, you would have to bring it.
Right. Also of note is that if you're looking for a nice cup of coffee, and you're maybe not of an adult age at this point, this is an adult only space.
True.
This is the only, but however, there is another space like on the
True.
Wish and Dream that you can go get coffee that you do not have, is not an adult only area. This ship has 2 spaces, Cafe Megara and Cafe Merida. It's kind of tough to, which one is it? Merida, Megara, Merida? Yeah. But those that are on board are on level 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
If you are looking for those. So coffee for everybody.
Right. And those are more centrally located and kind of off the Grand Hall, that you can have easy access to, and definitely get to experience some nice coffees there as well.
Right. Absolutely. So yes. So we kind of regrouped there, got our strength back up, got some caffeine in us,
Yeah.
ready to take on the rest of the day. And let me tell you, we needed to reset because we had what I may call the best about 4 to 5 hours of entertainment that afternoon and evening that I've ever experienced aboard a Disney cruise, Michelle.
100%. It was just phenomenal. The different types of entertainment that we get to experience in that short time and how much laughter we went through was just phenomenal.
So let's start with when we got up there, we were like, okay, they're opening up Dr. Facilier's parlor, which we don't know exactly about other than, you're going to get to meet Dr. Facilier. We're like, okay, let's get down there and see. I know there's probably going to be a line for this. I don't know how long that line's going to be. Let's go check it out. We got down there. There was a line. And there's going to be a line every single time you want to do this. And we were in that line for about an hour or maybe a little bit over an hour. I'll say that. You're going to be in line for at least an hour if you want to do that, but it is worth that experience. We could not take any pictures or video when we were in there, but it is an experience you are going to want to check out. Dr. Facilier was amazing. It's only about a 15-minute show and they bring in about 15, maybe 20 people tops. It's a small room, but it's worth your time.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's a little hard to see where the doorway is, but you definitely can see, as Tom mentioned, the line when you get there. The other thing I really liked about this particular experience of getting in the line is they did have a cast member there who did have a show where the cutoff was. So there was another experience we went to where that wasn't the case. So at least when you're going for Dr. Facilier's parlor experience, if you're in line and nobody tells you otherwise, then you're going to get in. It's just a matter of when, because as Tom mentioned, they take in groups of people. It's one of those experiences. If you might want to wait till a little later, another day or so later into your cruise, if you're on there a little longer, because people do rush to do it at the beginning of the cruise when possible. So that's just something to consider, but you're always going to have a line.
Well, I saw that there's going to be a line every single time. I'm telling you right now, because there may be some people that want to experience it twice for one thing, but there's going to be a line and it's going to be cut off. There's always going to be a line there. If you want to experience this one, just be prepared for that. You don't have to. If you don't feel that is necessary of your time, you don't have to. But I will tell you that for us, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. And I have to say, the Dr. Facilier is a very tall and intimidating looking individual. And he puts on a fantastic.
And it's in a very small space. So when he's there, he's large and just, being very charismatic and funny and a little bit scary. You really feel it within this room.
Yeah. And what's also fun is, and I won't give any spoilers away, but Dr. Facilier is sitting at a table during part of this, and it's a small table. Think of it like as if you were at a casino and you have a dealer and some seats. There's only 3 chairs, and Dr. Facilier himself selects who will sit in those chairs. And someone on this podcast got selected to sit in one of the chairs.
As a matter of fact, I got quite a tag from that one. Maybe at some point, if you've got to experience it, because I don't know if he does that for everybody. I don't want to give anything away too much about this experience, but it's worth your time. I really think it's worth your time to check that out if you can. I know it's a long wait. You're in a line. It seems like you could be doing other things. Maybe you have one person wait and maybe a couple of you, or you switch off. It's an hour. But again, when you see people in line there, know that it's worth your time.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. Again, your results may vary. But I thought it was well worth the time, and I debated doing it again because it was so fun and interesting, but I didn't want to take anybody else's space that might be looking to do that.
Right.
So that started off our 4 hours of entertainment. Next up, we headed to the Broadway Stars series at the Walt Disney Theater. Once again, no video, no photos other than this. I took this before they got on the stage, but we had some visiting guests aboard this ship, Zach Benkal and Michael Malakel, who Zach had played Bobcock, who was a role that was originated on the North American, well, it was originated in the Broadway Aladdin. He originated the North American
Right.
tour version of that character, and then later went on to play that on Broadway. Michael, meanwhile, actually played Aladdin on Broadway and with Zach as well. So they put on a show, all Disney tunes, the two of them, sometimes together, sometimes taking turns. It was phenomenal. The Broadway Stars series, again, another thing that is worth your time.
Yes. Now, they don't always have Broadway stars on the sailings for the, different ships. And so this was special that we did have that. Generally, what they're doing is, especially for the shorter cruises, they'll get on partway onto the one of the sailings and stay for the beginning part of the next sailing, so that they're hitting two different one cruise ship but two different sailings. So we were very fortunate that they were at the beginning part of our journey.
Right. Really enjoyable show. Loved it. We're big musical fans, Disney musical fans. These two are very, very talented. They put on a great show. They were fun together. Really, really had a great time at that.
Yes.
Next, it was time to beeline to Saga, which is another lounge location, because there they were having the beginning was, we missed the very beginning of it, but we got a portion of Elixir Hall, which is a space where they kind of do torch songs. Essentially, it kind of transforms into this Elixir Hall, do torch songs. Violet Fox, who you can see there in this photo for those of you watching on YouTube, leads us through many, many beautiful songs, just sing some wonderful numbers to kind of get the evening started, right?
Yeah, it's almost kind of like a speakeasy vibe,
right?
And it's an adult only experience at that time when they do this. It is on 2 levels. So you can, depending on where you want to sit, you can still see the show depending on, where you sit. And it just has that, like I said, the speakeasy vibe.
Right. And immediately following that was what may have been our favorite piece of entertainment on the entire cruise, because following that, as Marvel fans, they did With Great Power, a Marvel comedy show. Now, we mentioned already the storytellers. You see on the left here, for those of you watching on YouTube, that is it your left or my left? I don't know. Anyway, you see the one with the blonde hair. That's Gamble. The other one is Zaya. Okay, so Zaya and Gamble. If you ever are on the Disney Destiny and you see anything that's hosted by Gamble or Zaya and Gamble, you're going to want to see that show. They are phenomenal. Interesting, funny, entertaining. It hits across the board. It's great. You want to see it. And it's a retelling of many, many characters' experiences throughout the Marvel in a funny and unique and interesting way, Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, without giving any spoilers, they're really just trying to, what makes a hero, and look at some of those unique aspects of somebody who is a hero, and they go through it. And I have to say, what I had heard in advance was it's funny but corny. And I think,
corny in the best way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know that definitely is a good description of this, but it's so much better than what that description is. And and it is adult themed. It has some little innuendos that they throw in and everything. But the whole experience is so great. I loved it. Like you said, I think this was my favorite show.
It was brilliant. It was so good and so simple. Corny, yes. Hilarious, 100%. I loved it so much. And they at least seemed like they were having a good time doing it, which is part of it all to me. That they were enjoying it and just laughing at themselves and the show. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, these are storytellers, but they also have some mad improv skills. And so they do respond with the audience and things like that. And they're super talented.
Yeah. So good. I loved it so much. Then we were off to dinner. We were in the Pride Lands Feast of the Lion King that night, expecting our Lion King show that night. However, apparently, because maybe they thought you had a big beach day and everything was going on, everything. Maybe not everybody would attend. I don't know, but we didn't get for our first seating at the Pride Lands. Like I said, we had another one later. We did not get the actual Lion King show. However, we did get we were treated to some wonderful music inspired by the Lion King and inspired by the regions of Africa,
Yeah, I
which
think
was
it
really, really nice.
Yeah, I think it was the sounds of Pride Land or something to that effect, where you did get to hear a lot of different, whether it's musical instrument sounds or singing, but super talented individuals for sure.
Yeah, and it was very, very enjoyable show. We were scratching our head a little bit because no
Right.
one said that this was not going to be the main show. We're like,
Right.
that's not it, right? It wasn't. It wasn't. But it was a great show, and we really, really enjoyed it. Really, really loved that dining space. Food there is great. I also ordered this thing, which was it's like a taste of Africa or something along. I should have looked up the name of it, but it had 3 different cocktails using different African liquors. There's a whiskey, there's a gin, and there's a tequila, essentially mixed with different items. Really, really tasty. I loved all 3 drinks, especially the more I got into them. Maybe that was because I've had a little bit more, but it actually mixed well with the food. It was those 3 drinks. It was $35 for those 3 drinks. Definitely shareable for you
Right.
if you're looking to do it. It was. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very
Yeah,
much.
definitely. I mean, it was, a lot of times when you're having these flights, they're very tiny. These were not very tiny. I think if you were to think of volume, putting the 3 of them together would have been equivalent to maybe 1.5 cocktails,
Right.
good sized cocktails. And so you did it. I think that brought the value to it. And yeah, it was really, I think it made it special having actual African liquors and alcohol in this Pride Land themed restaurant. It really was a nice touch.
Right. And I did something different. There was another kind of tasting thing that I did on the second night, which we'll get into whenever we, some 8 episodes down when we actually
Yeah,
get to
I
that
know.
second
Looking
night,
at how
because
our
I don't
recording
know how much
time is.
farther we're getting on
I
this
know.
one.
I'm
So
like,
we'll talk about that more later. So we're 1.5 days in. This is going to be like a marathon
I
of
know.
episodes for this. Anyway, so that was great. And then we went out and yes, we got more. It was actually the same performers that were part of the the Pride Lands that went out, and we got the Sounds of Wakanda, which was out in the Grand Hall, which is a great experience, full family experience. Matter of fact, they got the little ones involved in this as well. And that was great getting to hear the different unique Wakanda inspired instruments and the sound. And there is a special surprise there that goes along with that we will not give away here. But it really, and they do this multiple times throughout your sailing at different times of the day. This one just happened to be that night, and we just thought it would be a great way to wrap up that evening.
Right. And the Grand Hall, is again multi levels. So, you can be sitting on ground level. And if you have little ones who want to be called up, they only call up a few. But your options are better if you're on that ground level. But you can definitely appreciate the whole experience if you're even on other levels, just along the guide rails, looking out to the stage area.
There are really great views of the Grand Hall there. From we saw shows on all 3 levels, I believe, at different times, and they're all great.
Right.
If you want to experience, and they're very good at trying to make sure that most things are in sight lines that you can see them. It's really, really good.
Right. Yes.
Really, really, it's really well drawn out in that regard. So that was the end of our first full day on board. I'm going to rip through our first sea day because there's a few things that we need to really talk about, but not as much as some of the other days we experienced. So yes, our next day was a sea day. That was Monday, June 29th, as we were on making our way towards Puerto Rico. Got up more leisurely that morning, had a nice breakfast at Marceline Market, then headed down. We're going to go explore the ship and try something we had not tried before, which is the Haunted Mansion Happy Haunt. And what this is if you have a Disney Band Plus, which is a Magic Band for Disney Cruise Line, your Magic Band Plus will work on Disney Cruise Line as well, but they call it Disney Band Plus on there. You tap into a screen, you sign in, and they kind of give you clues throughout the ship. Think about some of the stuff that's maybe aboard the Disney Fantasy and the Disney Dream that you've experienced, where it's kind of scavenger hunt of trying to find things in different areas with different clues, and they'll lead you through. And what you're trying to do is find many of the happy haunts throughout the ship, Michelle.
Yeah, I think you're actually looking for 13
13.
happy haunts that are
Which we didn't find 13 combined, but mostly because we were doing so many other things.
Right.
But we did try this and it was fun.
Yeah, it definitely is fun. There's a lot of different screens where you go to, and then it guides you to go to the next area. You know, I mean, if you've done on the Dream or Fantasy any of the activities,
Like the Muppet Detective
Muppet, yeah.
Agency, and yeah.
So it runs similar to that in the sense that you're going to one screen and it tells you to go to another. It is not a one where you're trying to solve something. You're just going to another area and finding another one of the happy haunts that are missing.
And then checking back in and letting them know that you found them, and then getting another clue on where to go next.
Right.
It's really fun and a good way to explore the ship. There's another game too that you can play with your with the app. That is also, you can go around the ship and do some other things. We didn't try that one this time, maybe in the future.
Yeah. We did do it a little bit on the Wish. You actually have like, I think there's 3 different scenarios of what you can be starting your exploring with. So that one, yes, as Tom mentioned, you can use the app for that. You don't have to have a Magic Band Plus to do that, but for the happy haunts, you do.
We did go over to do some trivia. One of our first trivias that we did aboard this ship. We did do several trivias. On this one was one of our favorite trivias that they do aboard any ship. It's the Disney Tunes Trivia Live, where they actually have a piano player there and they do the trivia. So you kind of guess the song based on what the piano player is playing. There's usually the song you have to guess, and then there's some sort of extra question that may have to do with the movie or the song or something along those lines. We did pretty well in that, but fell a little short, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've done better in the past on that one, but we did okay. You know, we certainly, I think, represented our knowledge pretty well, but we weren't winners.
I'm going to tell you right now, this was a cruise with many, many great trivia players. It was tough to win at any trivia. So if you were aboard this ship and you wanted trivia, congratulations to you, because we came close a couple of times. We'll be talking, not in this episode, but we'll be talking about a couple other close calls that we had, but unfortunately not quite there. But yeah, it was great. Lots of great trivia on board the ship, just as there are on any other Disney cruise ship.
A couple things I wanted to mention with the Disney trivia, they do, if you look on the app and everything, you can choose if you want to go to some that are for everybody, all ages, or some that are just adult only. The other thing I want to mention about the Magic Band here is, because I know it's a question that comes up a lot with people, like, is it worth having a Magic Band? And, you know, just like with the parks, it's kind of subjective to what you want to do. So it does have some of the similar features of the parks, in the sense that it opens your stateroom door. You can charge with it. It does light up for different shows and things like that.
A little bit, not nearly as much as what you get in the parks. Not nearly.
You know, and you get to do this experience with the missing haunts. So keeping that in mind, those are the main functions that you have of Disney Band Plus. Is it fun? Yes. Is it necessary? Not really. So it's up to you. They also sell them on the ship, and since you're not really getting a discount purchasing them in advance, it's something that you could also consider if you want to purchase them on the ship later.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's up to you. If you're someone who's used to the parks and are used to using your Magic Band, if you have one, bring it on board, because they'll link it up and you'll be fine. But if you're used to using one and you want a new one, pick one up on board or pick one up beforehand. It's great. They are convenient, but they're not necessary. Your Key to the World card will go for every place you want to go and do it. Just many of the same things that your band will do, just not everything. But yeah, it's completely up to you.
Right. And with some families, it's like, do their kids want to carry the Key to the World card, or do they prefer the Magic Band? So different things like that.
Yep. You know your family, you know what you enjoy. Decide for yourself, or decide on board. Like you said, if you get a couple days in, you're like, you know what, that sounds really nice and I'd really like to have one. believe me, the shops are open. You can pick one up there for
Yes.
sure, for sure. So we did decide next to visit another one of the lounges that is specific to this ship, and that is the Sanctum. The Sanctum Lounge, which is the Doctor Strange themed lounge. It's right in the center of the ship. So if you've been aboard the Wish, you may know it as the Bayou. If you've been aboard the Treasure, it's it's not the Skipper Canteen, but it's like the Skipper, it's the Jungle Cruise
Theme
theme bar. Here it's the Sanctum, which when you look at it like this, it looks really well themed, and it is really well themed. One issue that we have with it is that a lot of times there are crafts going on there, and there's trivia going on there, and there's all sorts of other things going on there that kind of don't lend itself to feeling like you're immersed within the Sanctum itself. But it still is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my biggest issue that I had with this particular lounge. They definitely have in there a lot of great theming, and the drinks are themed, and they have some fun experiences with some of the cocktails, specialty cocktails that they have there. But because it is considered what they even call a multi-use space throughout the day, it's really hard to be able to be in there and feel like you're in that special spot of the Sanctum. If you want to experience something like that, you do need to wait till much later in the day, into the evening, usually like after dinner. Then it's not used as a multi-purpose space. It is more just the lounge. Sometimes they will bring in some performers to play
Some musical
music.
performers. Yeah.
Right. Just to have in the background there. So if you want to experience it, to have that feel of being kind of immersed in the Sanctum, you do have to wait till late in the evening for that.
Yeah. But we were going during the day, so it didn't have quite the vibe, but still the cocktails were tasty. I got Michelle got a 0 proof cocktail. I got an alcohol because it's me. I got the Mirror Dimension, which was really fun because if you've seen any videos or photos of this, that's the one that you kind of touch it and it makes little electric looking kind of bolts through the glass or whatever.
Yeah.
I had as much fun playing with the electric bolts on
Yes,
that as I think I did
noticed.
drinking it. It was a tasty drink, but I really enjoyed that. Michelle I think you got the Multiverse in there, which came with this lollipop that you see for those of you looking on YouTube. And you said it was a sweeter drink, right, Michelle?
Right. I decided I wanted to try a little bit of the either 0 proof or non-alcoholic cocktails that are
We got plenty of
mocktail-
alcoholic
mocktail-
cocktails.
Yes.
It's a good time to not have one.
Right,
Yeah.
mocktails throughout, just to kind of gauge what they have and what's offered. And I'll just say in general, they're very delicious. They have levels of, flavor in them, and they're not just like drinking a soda that has a little something else in it. They do put some great flavors and depth into that. However, they are all tending to be on the sweeter side, but they may have others that are more tart that I just didn't happen to drink. This particular one, you could also, if you wanted to, pay more, you could get it into a pretty cool sipper.
The Eye of Agamora.
Right, which I didn't feel like I was needing for that.
We got another sipper.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a future episode.
But this was fun. The other thing about the Sanctum, just to also, because I think it was something we had an expectation of, and so to have a more realistic expectation, people may have talked about the levitation drink that they had. I know we talked about it when we first saw it displayed when we went to Destination D23. They have found that it's one of those situations where it ended up people would knock their cocktails over more readily with something like that. And so rather than, having people either get spilled things on them or whatever, they have it available on display, but they don't serve you to continue drinking with that levitation.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but I understandable. I mean, the technology, I don't know if it's technology, the magic behind that. We've experienced doing something else, and we know it can be a little tricky.
Right.
And I was wondering when they did that, I'm like, are people going to be able to keep that drink
Right.
levitating on there. Apparently not. So they have changed that. I don't know. We didn't see if they served it to anybody, if they showed it to them first levitating
Right.
and then handed it to them, or if they just have completely
Y-
gotten away from that.
Yeah.
They still have the levitating pads out there, and there are things that levitate on them. I'm just not sure if they do the drinks on them right
Right.
now.
Yeah. I mean that's they didn't give us a full definition, but when we asked about getting it, they said we really don't use those. We just use them on
Mhm.
display. So, like you said, maybe they have them on display at some point. We never saw it being
Mhm.
used, but we did see it on the bar.
But we enjoy our drinks there. Again, the feeling is that I wish it was been in a different space. You could really delve into the immersion of being in the sanctum. But it is what it is. We still enjoyed our time that we would go there for various things. We were there for many trivia's as well.
Right. I would have to recommend sitting at the bar more for this lounge if you want to have kind of that more experience because you feel, you kind of like secluded into what's going on at the
Mhm.
bar. Um, but definitely if you're in there, look around. There's a lot of
There's a lot of things that
great
you may not
things in
notice
there.
right off
Right.
the bat that yeah, ties into that. If you're a fan of Marvel, a fan of
Mhm.
Doctor Strange, there are some great things of interest within that. One thing after that, I needed the alcohol to get the courage up to go ahead and to the Incredicourse, which is in the Hero Zone. It's up on, I think it's deck 12, in the back of the ship. And this is a space that they have a lot of ping pong, a lot of what they have
Foosball.
foosball. There's it's a game. It's like whack-a-mole, but it's not whack-a-mole up there, and some other fun things. Basketball is up
Right.
there. I think maybe some volleyball, some other things. But they blow up
Yeah.
this giant course for you to run through while you're there, Michelle.
Right. So first of all, I want to mention about the Hero Zone. In most ships where you have, like Tom mentioned, basketball court or these other, games that you can play with other, like foosball, etc. You're outside in the heat and the sun, especially on those times of the year where if you're sailing when it's really hot. So here you're in an enclosed environment that's air conditioned. So it definitely affords you that opportunity to play or play longer and more comfortable because it's air conditioned. The Incredicourse, this giant inflatable fun course that they have, is not up the entire time. So you would just have to check on the app when they have it because they bring it out a couple times. So it's not the entire time, but it's definitely in a unique time.
Yes, and it's not. I mean, while it's basically a giant bouncy house obstacle course, it's not just for kids. Adults can do it as well. We did it. We limped away from it. We see these kids flying through this thing. We were like, what? How did they get through this so fast? Yeah, it took some prodding from Michelle to get me on to do it, but I did it and had fun with it. But we once was good enough for us, but it was fun. It was fun. Highly recommend you giving it a try if you are aboard the Disney Destiny
Yeah, I will.
and you're able.
Right.
And you're
I
able.
mean, I can't say it's super hard. The thing that also, okay,
Size more than anything else.
couple things, yeah. So I think as adults trying to go through some of the spots, it's definitely doable. They're not tight, but it's just trying to aim and get through, some of the areas a little bit better. The other thing is you're going with one other you're like competing in essence. It's a course that only two people at a time can go through. It doesn't take a long time, but only two people can go through at a time. So if you're competitive, you have that, oh, I got to, and the more you try to rush, I think sometimes the more you make it difficult for yourself. And so that can kind of also slow you down. And also just cracking up
Right.
at how it's so funny and ridiculous to be doing this and feel like, but you know what? That's what's great about it. You can be a kid
Mhm.
and go through Incredicourse. You're not going to be as good as your kids, but it can be still a lot of fun. And I would do it again.
Right, me too. Me too. And we were not the only adults that were
Right.
doing it. We don't, I mean, we're weirdos, but we're not that weirdo. It was not like we were pushing kids out of the way to get on this
Right.
thing. No, there were other adults that were doing it too.
Eh,
If
you-
you're looking at the picture here, the trickiest part for us, I think there's these little corkscrew curly Q things. You had to get through the middle of those. Trying to get through those was not easy. And as a bigger person. You know,
Right.
I-
Yeah, I mean, you can easily fit through them. You're not going to get stuck in any of this. It's just a matter of like how you're moving. And because it's a bouncing kind of thing and the other person's moving it too, you may not have as much control. Like I kind of rolled over onto my side. I just cracked up. I was in the middle of the corkscrew thing, cracking up because as I was starting to go one way and you moved it because you're what you were doing and it made me roll over. Again, never stuck. It's just a matter of it's not a straight line to go through very quickly and easily. You do need socks, though. You
Yeah.
can't go barefoot. You have
super
to,
socks.
yeah, super
You
socks.
need your super socks.
Um, yeah, so you do need to bring socks to go on this experience.
Yeah, and they recommended during the morning show, which the morning show was fun on this ship. They did recommend that for adults you may want long sleeves and long pants. I didn't do that. I was fine, but I could see where maybe you might scuff up your elbows a
Mhm.
little bit or your knees a little bit trying to get through this thing possibly.
Right,
So
right.
it might not be a bad idea. But I made it fine in
You
shorts
don't
and a
have to
t-shirt.
be athletic to do it.
No, you don't need to be.
You don't.
It will wind you.
Yeah.
Even if you are athletic, it will probably wind you a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, no. But it was fun. It was fun. I'm glad we did it. That night, well, hashtag real men love Frozen. We went to our next Broadway style show. That was Frozen aboard this ship. Seen it many times on many other ships. Enjoyable on this ship, just as is enjoyable on other ships. I do wish they had. I mean, I love Frozen, so
Mhm.
saying this for me is I wish that they maybe had something different on this
Mhm.
ship. I love Frozen. I'll be happy to see Frozen anytime. But the fact that there are Frozen on a couple other ships,
Right.
I think I would have liked to have seen something else here. But I still love this show and I love this version of it as well.
Right. And it is one of the standard shows that they do have on the Disney Destiny, whether you're going for 4-day or 5-day.
Mhm.
It is one of the shows. It's not their main exclusive show, but it is one of their
Mhm.
shows.
It is good, and the
Mhm.
cast is great. The cast is
Mhm.
great on all their shows, as they have been regularly
Right.
there. Then we booked it over to Saga again because it was the adult version, not adult, but adult version, adults only version of the Broadway Star Series, their second show before they got off the ship, where the same group that the same two that came out before, Zach Bencall, Michael Maliakel, came out and performed. This time they only did Broadway. I think they started with a Disney song,
Mhm.
but from there on out, it was all just Broadway numbers, which was really, really cool. Again, doing solo and then some duets as well. Michael Malikel just killed.
Mhm.
He did the music of the night from
Right.
Phantom of the Opera. So good.
Yeah.
Was so good. They were both so good, but that was like amazing. Blew my socks off, my super socks off for that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smaller venue. It's not in the big theater. It is like what we talked about the other one. It's a venue that has 2 levels, so you can see it from either section of the ship there. And they do, it's one more. I think they do more storytelling of their own personal journey, somewhat of being on Broadway and things. It's just more quaint. And I think that's why they have adult only because it's not that there's anything risque about it. It's just probably not something of interest to a lot of kids.
Mhm. This was also our formal night. So if you chose to bring something on that was more formal style, lots of people wearing their best dress out
Mhm.
there. But as Disney always says, do what you want to do. It's your
Right.
vacation. Treat
Right.
yourself the way you want to treat yourself. We did dress up for this evening. So we did see Frozen dressed up. We did see this dressed up. And then we went and had our dinner at 1923 that night, which was a good place for a dressy attire. I was concerned about D23's menu when I first looked at it that
You mean
night.
1923?
What did I say? D23?
Yeah.
I'm so used to saying
I
D23.
know.
1923's menu that night that I was concerned about it. And even from the beginning, I'm like, not so sure. And then they dropped this steak, this tenderloin on us that night with mushroom sauce and we went to Palo Steakhouse. It may have been the best steak we had
Mhm.
seasoned wise, how it was cooked, everything that we had on the entire cruise.
Yeah, it was really great. 19 I'm gonna say, yeah, 1923. It's, obviously a nod to when the Walt Disney Company first came into being as a company. And you have they've divided it into 2 sections that they call the Roy side or the Walt side. And they have different representations from films. And what they do in the different ships in the Wish class when they have this restaurant is they go along with the theming. So they try to incorporate artifacts and art related to heroes and villains
Mhm.
because that's the theme of the Disney Destiny. And the style of food is it's kind of like a Californian, but there's a lot
Very
of
old school,
right.
traditional Hollywood style dishes, including some dishes that you might find at the Hollywood Brown Derby at Disney's
Yes.
Hollywood Studios and the original Brown Derby. But yeah,
Right. So I mean, they have their own twist to it and everything, but that's, kind of pretty much what it is.
yeah. But I was really thrilled. That may have been one of my favorite, and it started off a little rocky, but it may have been one of my favorite meal that we had on board.
Yeah, yeah, it really was a winner.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna have to cut it here. I was thinking I might do another day, but I'm gonna have to cut it here because we've gone way too long already. This is gonna take us like 3 or 4 episodes to get through this thing. So that was the first 2+ days of our cruise, the first 2 full days and our embarkation days of our Disney Destiny cruise. We got a lot more to talk about, including our 2 ports of call shows, including Disney's Hercules as well. Lots of other stuff that happened aboard this cruise that we'll be talking to you about on our next episode and probably the one after that. I'm thinking at this pace, but there's so much to say. There's so much to say.
Plus, we're very chatty.
That's always the case. Always the case. So that is part 1 of our date with Disney Destiny. A little recap of our Disney Destiny cruise, Michelle.